Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana didn't hold back during today's Senate Judiciary Committee meeting to discuss so-called book bans. Let's find out what happened there together.
I confess I'm a little confused, and I appreciate the argument or discussion that we've been having, but for me it's a little too conceptual, or I don't know, metaphysical or theological or whatever you want to call it. I want to try to understand what you're asking us to do. Let's take two books that have been much discussed. The first one is called All Boys Aren't Blue, and I will quote from it. I put some lube on and got him on his knees, and I began to slide into him from behind. I pulled out of him and kissed him while he masturbated.
You know, it's a pretty dire situation. I wouldn't read something like that for myself. A couple of quotes from this piece were enough for me to realize how strange it all is. I don't wonder why Senator Kennedy is in favor of banning this book, and I will personally support him because I don't think it should be released to the public.
The second is another much discussed book. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's called Genderqueer. Okay? Let me read an excerpt from that. Quote, I got a new strap-on harness today. I can't wait to put it on you. It will fit my favorite dildo perfectly. You're going to look so hot. I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me. End quote.
The only thing I want to say now is that I would not want my child to find this book and read it. This is not what we should see. Why don't we inspire really interesting books that teach us something and prepare us for life? Why do we receive such propaganda? Why did you decide that children should and are obliged to know this?
Now, Mr. Secretary, what are you asking us to do? Are you suggesting that only librarians should decide whether the two books that I just referenced should be available to kids? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay. Tell me what you're saying.
Well, first of all, there's this...
Don't give me a speech. Tell me what you're asking me to do.
With all due respect, Senator, the words you spoke are disturbing, especially coming out of your mouth is very disturbing. But what I would also tell you that we're not advocating for kids to read porn, to Senator Booker's point.
What are you advocating for?
We are advocating for parents, random parents, not to have the ability, under the guise of keeping kids safe, to try and challenge the world view of every single manner on these issues.
Wait, what? That is, he wants to say that it's normal to release something like this and says that it's not for children, but then he says that they cannot limit a person's right to read it and determine who he really is. Are you completely crazy? Personally, I am against this, and I am sure that such books should not be in the public domain.
You're getting conceptual again.
I'm not getting conceptual. I'm saying
yes, you are. Yes, you are. Because I want to know what you're recommending. It sounds to me like what some of you are saying, the librarians should decide who gets to see that book.
I'm saying when individual parents are allowed to make a decision of where that line is, and To Kill a Mockingbird, which involves a rape scene, should that book be pulled from our libraries? I think it becomes a slippery slope.
I think you ought to think about it a little bit more before you come here.
I've thought about it, Senator.
If you're going to propose something, you ought to be able, in 30 seconds, to be able to explain what Senator, you're asking us to do.
How good he is at this. The senator simply destroyed him because he couldn't even argue and convince him.
Cameron, tell me what you're proposing.
It's pronounced mix.
Mix? Is that how would you like me to refer to you?
Senator, your definition of sexual is synonymous with LGBTQ identity.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you to tell me you read those two excerpts.
Genderqueer.
Do you think that, are you asking that only librarians and not parents have any say and whether minors can read those books. Is that what you're saying?
Genderqueer has never been in my school library, so it's never been banned.
Well, suppose it was. Should it be up just to the librarian, or should parents have a say?
There should be facilitation of collaboration between students,
Should parents have
and
a say?
educators. Parents should be working with students and educators to be
Okay.
making decisions because students
All right.
are.
And who
these-
decides ultimately? The librarian, or do you take a vote, or who takes the vote?
book review committees in the community in my school district.
You want a committee to decide?
There are committees.
Okay.
You know, in simple terms, they could not defend their point of view before the senator. They could not even answer the simple question of who should decide on the availability of these books in the library. It doesn't matter to me what these books are about. If they contain such things, then they simply should not be on library shelves, and our children are not required to know the contents of these books. What do you think about this? Write your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to watch other shocking news on the channel.